Zenitsu for a long time has been one of my favorite characters in Demon Slayer. I've always liked the concept of someone appearing weak and goofy on the outside, but when it actually comes to time to lock in, then they become a completely different person. This is something you see a lot with other characters in different forms of media, but Zenitsu to me shows this off better than anyone else. By nature, he is cowardly and is pretty much terrified of everything, but deep inside he has an undying will to be the strongest. And in today's video, I want to discuss how strong Zenitsu actually is. This is going to be a kind of a mix of power scaling and character analysis at the same time. I'll go over all of his feats throughout the series and talk about how and why he did all of those feats. This will also involve the new Infinity Castle movie and stuff in the manga moving forward. So if you haven't seen either of those, then this will be a spoiler warning for all of you. Go finish the series before you watch this video. But for those who don't care, be sure to like and subscribe. I make videos like this all the time and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. With all the yapping out of the way, let's get into the video. So starting from his very first introduction, we see Zenitsu pass the final selection with Tanjiro, Genya, and Kanao. Zenitsu questions himself on how he survived even though he was asleep throughout the entire test. We don't know how strong any of the demons were that faced Zenitsu, so I can't really say how strong he was at this point, but it's obvious he was able to clear through the entire test extremely easily. Moving on to the Drum Palace is where we see Zenitsu's first confrontation with a demon. Zenitsu obviously can't handle confrontation, so he passes out in fear, which gives him the opportunity for his subconscious to take control and fight freely, without his fear and anxiety being in the way. So because of that, Zenitsu was able to blitz and one-shot the tongue demon. The same goes for how he fought the spider demon. Even while poisoned, he still has no trouble in just blitzing and one-shotting. I know this doesn't sound as impressive at first, but if you look back, most of the main cast were still struggling with just average demons. Meanwhile, Zenitsu hasn't had the slightest bit of difficulty, meaning at this point in the series until Tanjiro fights against Rui, Zenitsu is by far the strongest member of the main cast. Moving on to the Entertainment District arc, Zenitsu on multiple occasions is able to blitz and keep up with Daki, and can even somewhat damage her using Godspeed. This can be considered impressive if we take into account Tanjiro before he unlocked his mark wasn't able to cut her head off. I know by this point Tanjiro has shown better feats, but even then, Zenitsu can still be comparable to Tanjiro if we're talking about raw strength and skill. And the fact he can still hang with an upper moon this early on and help play a crucial role in defeating Daki and Gyutaro is all extremely impressive. Moving on to the Infinity Castle arc, this is where we see Zenitsu at his strongest, as this is the very first time he's actually fought a demon while being completely awake and fearless. Kaigaku has always been shown to be stronger than Zenitsu, and now Kaigaku has only gotten stronger with his new demon powers. Yet Zenitsu isn't only able to keep up, but can even blitz Kaigaku and call him too slow. And again, Zenitsu handles this fight with little to no difficulty, even though he is by far the strongest Zenitsu has faced up to this point. The reason I say this is because even though it did appear he was struggling and took a lot of damage, it is important to remember that Zenitsu was contemplating on killing him for the majority of the fight. Even though Kaigaku was a direct cause for Jiguro's death, Zenitsu still looked up to Kaigaku and dreamed of fighting by his side. So you could say Kaigaku wasn't truly at full power considering he was a new demon, but Zenitsu was very clearly holding back. And it should be obvious Zenitsu is much stronger than Kaigaku, considering the moment he actually decided to try, Zenitsu just one-shots him. Zenitsu by this point is definitely on the weaker side of the upper moon ranking, and can be argued that he's actually stronger, as he was a contributing factor in defeating Muzan. He was able to save Tanjiro and Inosuke on numerous occasions, and obviously can still damage him in some capacity. Given Muzan was ultra weakened by this point, but that's probably still more impressive than his fight with Kaigaku. We don't really know how much weaker Muzan was by this point. I can't really say if he was weaker than Kaigaku, but I could see an argument for it considering how badly nerfed Muzan was, as he couldn't even move his own body, and the force of his attacks were a lot weaker. But again, I believe being able to at least hold his own against Muzan and damage him only elevates how strong Zenitsu actually is. With all of this said, if we take into account all of his major feats throughout the series, then Zenitsu is no doubt in the tier of Hashira level. The conditions of becoming a Hashira are said within the Rengoku side story. It is said to become a Hashira, you need to kill at least 50 demons or one of the 12 Kizuki, including lower moons and all. This means Zenitsu defeating a considered upper moon by default makes him qualified to be a Hashira, which just makes Zenitsu's whole storyline all the more complete, as Jigoro always wanted Zenitsu to become a Hashira. Now I know people will argue that if Kaigaku actually had the chance to hone his demon powers, then Zenitsu would have died on the spot upon meeting him, which I don't find completely true. Kaigaku was a brand new demon, but it is pretty clear that Zenitsu could have finished the fight a lot earlier, and even if Kaigaku had the time to get stronger within a year, what's to say that Zenitsu himself couldn't have gotten any stronger as well? Being this strong where he is now, with only knowing legitimately 2 breathing forms, shows he still holds massive potential to grow. And if you really take that Yushiro statement at face value, the manga can and has contradicted itself. For example, Shinobu has said in the past that it takes 3 Hashira at minimum to defeat an upper moon, which we know for a fact isn't true, as Muichiro absolutely stomped an upper moon 5 all on his own. So the Yushiro statement could have some merit to it, given Kaigaku will be stronger with his demon powers, but Zenitsu I believe can still get massively stronger as well. So I still think Zenitsu is in earnest a Hashira level character. The fact that he can fight to the same degree with people like Tanjiro and Inosuke when he only has mastered one attack just goes to show how much potential he truly has. But that's really all I have to say for this video. If you think Zenitsu is any stronger or weaker than what I've said, then let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. If you enjoy scaling/analysis videos, do me a favor by liking and subscribing. I have more Demon Slayer ideas in the future, so please be on the lookout for that. I'll be uploading again very soon. Thank you for watching.